Two black diamonds, very different, but nevertheless both from the same seam and providing strong fuel, but for different furnaces. And over here, again, two diamonds, full stop. Again, very different, but both from the same source. Now the question is, does one burn brighter than the other, and is one easier to handle? Welcome to Kenevo versus Levo SL. So many questions then, but my gut feeling is that the Kenevo is going to kill it. More power up, more travel down. Yes, I think the poor old SL is going to be utterly humiliated. The only thing that makes me question this is the contradictions that I'm hearing out there. Time then to have a look at the two bikes in detail. So what exactly do we have here? Well, we have 180mm travel versus 150mm. We've got alloy versus carbon, 27.5 versus 29. We have a 700 watt-hour battery against a tiny 320 watt-hour battery. And finally, of course, we've got the lump versus the P. 23 kilos plays 18 kilos, and of course, 565 watts max versus a tiny 240. This is possibly one of the biggest mismatches we've ever done on the channel. Ah yes, it's not a standard out-of-the-box Kenevo, you're saying. Well, yes, but I'm probably not the first person to tinker, and you can actually buy a Kenevo with a single crown fork. But yes, we can rename it Levo SL versus Modified Kenevo. So both bikes are now air front and rear, and both bikes have downhill Maxxis Assegai rubber. The question is, will heavier weight be better in wet conditions, or is lightweight faster? Does weight even come into it when I'm 90 kilos and probably 100 kilos with mud attached? Now, just to be clear, we're in no way expecting the Levo SL to compete with the Kenevo on the climbs. We're just curious of the time difference. What we really want to find out is which one is faster downhill. The track represents pretty well the type of riding we love doing. It's a loop. Well, actually it's more of a triangle than loop. Smooth forest track, rough track, and downhill. Now, when I was testing bikes, I'd spend hours here going around and around, agonizing over head angles, chain stays, noise, fit. But only one thing matters today, and that is the clock. Right, now clearly both bikes are going to be in turbo mode for the duration. Both bikes have got Assegai tyres on there of the same compound. So there's only one way, and that's to put the pain in. Josh, count me in. So this fire road's got a really good hard surface to it. Now coming up to a bit of a rise and a bit of a descent. So I'm expecting the Levo SL to get above 25 Ks. Yeah, there we go. So I'm now under my own steam, just like the dog. Our first checkpoint coming up on the left. In here, through the sludge. So now the track changes into a heavier surface, slightly muddier. 90 Newton meters in the Kenevo, and 35 Newton meters on this, the SL. As the dog was chasing rabbits and squirrels. Oh my, and there's the end of the second climb. So now diving into the downhill section of the triangle of hell, and there's nothing like a downhill run to keep you honest. So welcome back, old friend. So I'm not looking for any heroics, just a good run with good flow, good momentum, get a time in the bag. Feels quick across the ground, the old SL. So this is interesting. The speed out of corners. How much will the lighter weight play a part? Finish line. Right, now time for the Kenevo on our Morocco style grid. Although we haven't got a grid, we've got an ancient stump. So 3, 2, 1, away. And that is who's my daughter's Welsh collie, having a great day. Oh, it is significantly easier, I have to say. Especially that first punchier part of the fire road. My legs feel lighter. But hey, the great thing about fire roads is there's plenty of space, so they're actually quite sociable tracks. So why on earth would you be in a rush getting your heart rate into the red? Only stupid people like me do that for these videos. So when we got to this part, the SL took off actually. Coming into the first checkpoint. Now on track on the heavier part of the triangle, love triangle, triangle from hell, triangle of fun, or just a track in the woods, whatever you want to call it. Clearly there's a big momentum difference between this Kenevo and the SL. I mean, no surprise, eh? Because it's almost 3 times more powerful. So on track now, Kenevo. Momentum feels good in that corner. Oof, crikey. So same again, no heroics. It's a good smooth run. I would say SL felt marginally quicker out there. Oh my God. Like I said, downhill runs, they keep you honest, and nice to welcome back an old friend. I haven't done that for a while. I had a sneaky look at the time. I'm really quite surprised. And it goes to show it doesn't matter how you feel, it's the actual facts on the clock that matter. Now, I know a lot of you are in the predicament of trying to find out whether to choose a Levo SL or a Levo or a Kenevo, and I mean, what a fantastic position to be in. But part of the reason that I did this video is that many people are saying that the Levo SL is quicker down a downhill track. So I'm going to come on to the downhill section in a minute, but I think the legs of the triangle, the transfer stages, are equally important. And yes, the Kenevo was faster on average by 30 seconds on each leg, but if you think about it, we all use those transfer stages to talk about things going on in your life, grips, brakes, tires, you name it. So I think if you're in a non-competitive environment, I don't really think it matters that much. It's no surprise that the Kenevo with a much more powerful motor was a little bit faster on the climbs. So the Levo SL was in some ways undergunned in that department. But don't forget, it was still massively quicker than a non-assist bike. And to be honest, who's really watching the clock anyway? It's in the downhill sector that we found the really interesting results. Now, many people believe the SL to be a faster bike than the Kenevo in downhill scenarios simply because it can be moved around easier because it's lighter, which is possibly true on slower, flatter terrain. Now, downhill speed is partly achieved by generating speed from the shape of the ground, avoiding collisions and, well, to be blunt, just taking risks. But pre-hopping and nimbleness can also be done on a heavier bike. It's just a matter of timing, and on faster terrain, a heavier bike might actually provide more stability. It simply depends on the terrain. So how did the both bikes feel? Well, in the collisions, the Kenevo felt immense, steamrollering anything in its path. The SL, on the other hand, danced around things, and on this track, I certainly felt the SL to be faster exiting corners. But then the corners were largely flatter corners, the terrain arguably more suited to the SL. Sector analysis saw the both bikes to be neck and neck on the faster corners. But when things got a bit more pedestrian, the SL does inch ahead. From experience then, I'd argue that whilst the Kenevo might well have been slower on this track, on another day in nastier terrain, the Kenevo will surely come into its own. This all goes to show then that choosing the right bike for the right terrain is as important for an eMTB as it is for any MTB. So, one track, one day, one rider, those results. Let's go back there in the summer and see what the differences are in the times. But I want to know what you guys think about Levo SL versus Kenevo. Are we really talking overgunned versus undergunned, or is there a bigger picture story to tell here, such as hill climbing and transfer stages and you name it? But I think what we've proved is that, contrary to what many people say, the SL and the Kenevo are actually pretty evenly matched, certainly on a wet winter day in the Forest of Dean.